Hi guys, welcome back. It's Molly. Thanks for joining me. So today's topic I want to talk about has been one of the most asked question that I've gotten my entire life, which was really cool. But the question is, how was it like growing up with a white family, white parents? So this is from my experience being adopted. I was adopted when I was 6 months old. So being with them and being raised by them I knew nothing else. That was home. That was my parents. In my mind, they loved me the same. They treated me the same. I felt no other different. I didn't feel awkward about it. You know what I mean? Obviously, at home, I'm their child, right? They take care of me. They love me. Out in public, then people start to ask and wonder and look at us, and then they have questions, right? But my parents were amazing. And one thing that they were amazing at doing is not only loving and providing me with everything that I needed and beyond and more, but they also equipped me to be mentally, I feel more prepared and be able to kind of build my character, a lot stronger, or my mindset a lot, I don't want to say stronger, but just in a different perspective than looking oh, I'm an orphan. Because I never thought in my mind, oh, I'm an orphan, I'm unloved, I'm unworthy, I don't have parents that didn't love me. It wasn't kind of like that. It was more of okay, this is the best outcome I could have ever had in my entire life. And the one thing my parents did do is they instilled faith in, our whole family. We grew up in the church, which was really cool, So to be able to grow up with a standard of life that you want to kind of emulate and kind of model after, right? Then at the same time, you learn about your identity, not only in Christ, but as you as an individual, and that we're all kind of in the world as orphans, you know what I mean? So I was oh, it's normal. I love my parents. They loved me unconditionally, and they also just love kids, because a year later they actually had one of their own. And so I have a younger brother, and his name is Sam. So there's two of us. So just growing up with that environment was really cool, So let me kind of preface everything. So my dad, he's white, right? But my mom is Mexican American. So growing up, my mom's mom, my grandmother, she taught me how to speak Spanish. So I don't speak Chinese. I wasn't really educated or was around the Chinese culture much, but I definitely grew up with a split, American side, a multicultural, blended American side, and then a Mexican American side, which is amazing because my grandma, mi abuela, me enseñó cómo hablar español, when I was a little girl. And I loved listening, eating their food and immersing myself in their culture and their music. And that's kind of where I really connected with every side of ethnic culture that I was being kind of immersed into. The one thing that I connected with was music. I just love music, and I think it's the universal language for anybody to relate to. It doesn't matter from where you are. But yeah, I loved growing up because my parents, they were my rock, and they taught me a lot about try to be the best person and the best version you can be, even though that's not easy, even though the world may say otherwise, or, it's just been something that they've always instilled in me. It's just to be a good person, love the Lord, and I think that's the most priceless thing that any parent can equip their child with, is just the confidence and knowing. And I think that's kind of why I picked up after high school at 18 years old and had the confidence. And I also had the ability and the support of my own family. I mean, no one would ever thought oh yeah, I'm gonna let my 18-year-old daughter move to California and just, figure out her thing, go to her classes, and I'm gonna support her. So I've had a really supporting, loving, white, Hispanic, cultural family, and so it's really taught me to learn to respect and also be curious about other ethnicities and cultures. And the other thing that I do appreciate from my family is that every 4 years we moved. So I lived all over Texas. My parents, we grew up in the Texas Hill Country in Marble Falls. That's where I kind of predominantly spent most of my high school, middle school years, and that's in the Hill Country, about 45 minutes away from Austin, Texas. And then before that, we were in Tyler, Texas. That's by Dallas. And then before that, we were in Uvalde, Texas, which is by San Antonio. So, you know, my parents are really kind of fortunate to have jobs, you know, easily in places that they can, you know, want to travel to and experience. But I think it taught myself and my brother just how to learn to deal with adversity, right? And like meeting new people. So by the time I was in 7th grade, I probably had went to five or six different schools already. And a lot of them were private schools, you know, Episcopalian, Catholic schools, Christian schools. And that alone, I had a great education, right? I had great teachers. We were just a very small school, so everybody was very involved. Oh my gosh, I did swimming, I did track, I played volleyball, what else did I do? Oh gosh, there's so much. I swam, you know what I mean? My parents kept me very motivated, but very busy to the point to where I couldn't have these thoughts, intrusive thoughts about who I am or, you know, my identity crisis. And I don't think I really had questions about that until I was in middle school. I remember vividly, like 8th grade, I was at a church camp. My parents would ship me off to church camp in the summer, which I thought was really cool because all my friends did it, you know? Like you'd go to school and it was kind of like the parent trap. Oh my gosh, yeah, like you go to school and then you'd meet your friends at like Camp Peniel or Camp Longhorn, right? And you just be there for like a week or two and you felt like a big kid because you could do whatever you wanted to do. But like Camp Peniel, right? So I remember during one of my church youth group camps, I had a lot of questions and thoughts that kind of entered my mind, like, why did my parents give me up? You know, and like, what prompted this? You know, we have to give up our own child, you know, abandon our child in a place like, you know, in a box and on a boat dock and in a factory out in the city. So it made me really think about a lot of stuff like why, right? And at that time I was a little bit, you know, young, but knowing that I had, you know, faith there, my parents, and open communication and just talking about it, I, you know, soon learned that you know, there was no choice for it, right? Like they didn't want to do it on their own. So my parents were always very, I think what I'm trying to say is my parents have always been very honest, very open, and they had so many, any questions I had, they were there to answer. So I just love how transparent they were and supported me and loved me, and they're amazing, and maybe one day you'll get to hear from their perspective. Thanks guys, thanks for listening to the video if you've gotten this far. If you're interested to listening to more material or a part 2 of an interview of like my parents and their perspective of the adoption, please follow, subscribe, hit like, and hopefully I will hear from you guys soon. All right, see ya, bye.